All right, hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to our Ask Me Anything GoCorps Alumni panel. We're really excited to have you all here or watching later after the fact. So yeah, I am just gonna pray to get us started and then we're gonna jump in. Lord God, thank you so much for this chance that we have to be together, this opportunity to hear the experiences of some of our amazing alumni and just to share those experiences with college students and anyone else, Lord Jesus. Thank you just for this opportunity that we have to be together. We pray for just clarity in our communication. We pray for no technology glitches, and we just pray that this would be a good time of togetherness and learning, Lord. So it's in your name that we pray. Amen. Amen. Cool. So let's just start. My name is Melody. I'm on staff with GoCorps. I am a coach and a mobilizer. I am also an alumni. I went to Berlin, Germany for 2 years in 2016. So I got back in 2018, where I was a dance major. So I got to use my dance degree on the field in Berlin, where I got to use that as a way to build relationships with people and lead to gospel conversations. When I got back from Berlin, I transitioned on the staff with GoCorps because I knew that I still was really called to continue in ministry, but also that the Lord is pretty clearly calling me back home. So that's what got me here. But I am now going to have our other amazing alumni. So Matthew, Bree, Laura, and Heidi. Could each of you introduce yourself and tell us kind of quickly what you did on the field and what you're doing now?
Yes.
Thanks.
My name is Bree, and I was a part of the fall 2017 cohort. I went to the Middle East and worked with pregnant refugees there, and I was on the field for 3 years and just transitioned out in June and moved to Grand Rapids, Michigan to work with GoCorps. So I am a mobilizer and missions coach for GoCorps now. Big GoCorps fan.
Thanks, Bree. Matthew, why don't you go next?
Sure. Well, my name is Matthew Biggs. I'm also year 2017 with Bree. I worked in Central Asia for almost 3 years. I was doing clean water projects up in mountain villages.
Awesome. Laura.
Hi, I'm Laura. I was a part of GoCorps 2018 class, and I served in Mexico City, teaching at a really tiny school for missionaries and pastors' kids largely. And I got back in March, and now I'm in grad school.
Awesome. And Heidi.
Hi, I'm Heidi Heckenberg-Gossen, and I was part of the fall 2016 launch with Melody. And I was in Birmingham, England, and I was working with vulnerable women there, mostly immigrants and refugees who were Muslim women. And I was doing art therapy with them while I was there, and just got back last month.
Welcome back, Heidi. So yeah, my first question for everyone is, what was your favorite thing about being a goer? And kind of what did you appreciate about the GoCorps process in general?
I think one of the things I really loved with being a goer was the cohort and like having a group of people that you were walking with together, especially during the support raising process, because that's just a whole new thing that you're learning all together at the same time. But then I just also really felt GoCorps equipped me really well to go to the field. And once I arrived, I didn't have really big surprises or anything like that. I really enjoyed that.
I'll add to the fundraising part that you were talking about, Heidi. As someone who likes structure and like being told how to do something, I think that GoCorps was really good at outlining the fundraising process and just explaining like how to do this. Because like that's something that I've never done before. I've never asked people for thousands of dollars. And so GoCorps is good at giving an efficient model of like how to do this and how to do it, I don't know, tactfully and like not without seeming like you're begging or anything. That was what really helped me. is just like this model of here is a good way of how to raise money.
Yeah, maybe since we're talking about that, maybe let's ask this to Bree. Bree, what was support raising like for you? What was that experience?
Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat as Matt. Like I just was really uncomfortable with the idea of it. And then I think it was just really cool because GC just handed us GoCorps, sorry, secure wording. GoCorps just handed us a lot of tools. And I see there are 3 women in this panel now who are actually going through the GoCorps process of fundraising themselves. So yeah, I think they just handed us a lot of tools, but there is a support raising activity like this. What is it? Like a coffee and conversations event that we're doing on December 3rd. So they're going to talk about like the biblical basis of fundraising, which is something also really cool that GoCorps handed us, is just like how it's biblical. So I really appreciated that. So if that's something that really is nerve-wracking to you, then also join that panel, because I think that that's just a really great thing to sit on, is that fundraising is biblical.
Yeah, thanks, Bree. Yeah, you can see all of our other events at gocorps.org/events. Small plug, sorry. So yeah, for our next question, this is one that some of our students sent in. How did your friends and family kind of view this season of your life?
I had a not supportive family at all. It was yikes. So they did not want me to go. They thought that I was wasting my career. They thought that it was super unsafe, and they were just not about it at all. But my friends were super encouraging, and I also, I think it was just encouraging that GoCorps, like, you get to meet people and have like a cohort of people that you're walking with through the process to like normalize that, like, this is okay and this is good. And that was really helpful for me when my family was not supportive, but that was a whole journey in itself. But I think the Lord really worked in that, and it's still tough. I'm not going to say like, and then they all were supportive and they all visited me. No, they did not visit me. So it was hard, but I think the Lord showed a lot of grace to me in that also. So that was my small description of my experience.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'll sort of add to that. My immediate family was pretty supportive of me, but because I came from a more conservative background, when I told people that I was like going to a Muslim nation and like working with Islam, I got a lot of pushback about that. Specifically like, oh, are you scared? Like, are you gonna need armed guards? Like, do you need extra life insurance or something? And sorry. It frustrated me a little bit, because like these are people that we're supposed to love, and like these are the people that I am like going and spending my time and my energy to love them and trying to help them both physically and spiritually. And like, I don't view it as like, this is a dangerous people, because they're not. And it frustrated me that the immediate reaction was like this very stereotypical, not really true opinion of these people that I'm going to work with. And that really taught me patience of like, I understand that this is your perception of what it might be, and I need to like calmly and gently correct this. And that was hard for me.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Matthew. Did anybody else, maybe Laura or Heidi, did you guys have similar experiences or different when you talked with your kind of friends and family?
Yeah, I think mine was similar to Bree's, where like at first my family's very like career oriented, and so when I first shared with them, it was like, you studied math, why are you going, to not make money when you could make money? Which I think maybe I expected that because I know my family culture. But I think maybe this is where my experience differed a little bit. But my family did end up opening up more to the idea and being more supportive, but it was difficult at first, especially because like for me, it was in a time where I was just transitioning to independence anyway. And so for that to be kind of like one of my marking experiences of my independence, it was really difficult to share that and be like, this is what I feel like God's calling me to do, and that kind of clashing with like my family culture. But God was good in it.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, mine was kind of similar to Matthew's. My parents were actually great. My parents are also missionaries, so they weren't scared or anything. But since I was also working with Muslims, I had a lot of feedback from friends and relatives who didn't quite understand, of just like, what about the danger? And I think my reaction was also similar to Matthew's, of just like, no, like that's the wrong reaction. Like, love them.
Yeah.
And it's still something, I mean, I was there for 4 years, so it's something that I continuously kind of battled with, and especially with how the news portrays Muslims, but maybe that's another question. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Yeah, it's always interesting to hear different people's experiences, because all of my friends and family were pretty chill with it. I mean, I was going to Europe, so I was not going anywhere that people considered dangerous, perhaps. And I think my parents sometimes wondered, like, why aren't you going to get a real job? But yeah, I was really blessed that for the most part, my friends and family were really pretty excited and supportive of me. But yeah, thanks for sharing your experiences. Maybe a bit of a more fun question. What was a typical week on the field like for you guys?
I can share. And I guess this is different for every team and every organization, but with my team in Mexico City, my first semester, we did a lot of trainings the first semester, and so we would have part-time working for that first 4 to 5 months, and then the rest of the week we'd be training pretty intensively on just cultural training, what does immersion look like, language training, and then like evangelism to that people group. And that first semester, a full week for us looked like 4 days a week that we were working, just so that fifth work day, you could really immerse with the people in the culture rather than with your ministry. And so I just love that model, because I think it really was good that my team and my leaders emphasized, like, ministry is not just the work that you're literally doing, but it's also relating and loving the people that you're serving outside of your ministry.
Thanks, Laura. Anybody else? No? Cool. Does anybody want to speak to what their language learning experience was like for anybody who is in a culture where they had to learn a different language? Maybe Bree or Matthew would be good for that one.
Sure, I'll go. Yeah. So thankfully, the language that we were learning, there's like, you ever heard of like the scale of 1 to 5 on like how difficult a language is to learn? It was just like a 2. So it's not a hard language to learn. Like it would be like if you're trying to learn Spanish, it was sort of the difficulty. But the hardest part was learning a new like script. I'm trying to like be security focused. So the language that I learned uses the Cyrillic script, and so I had to learn all of the Russian letters and the different sounds that they make and the different idiosyncrasies of all of that. And I think that was the hardest part for me, the first couple months of learning a different alphabet and how they work together and the rules for putting letters together, and things like that. But after that, it actually wasn't super hard. It went pretty well. Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
Language was not my thriving place. Yikes. I think the language that I learned it's like one of the top 5 hardest languages to learn from English. And I'm not gifted at language learning, so yikes. But I wasn't good at it, but I loved language learning because I think it helps you learn so much about the culture. Because like, for instance, in China, I wasn't in China, but in China, like a way to greet someone is basically saying and articulating, have you, eaten rice today, and it relates to like the famine that they had. And so it's just, you learn so much about the culture just by little things that people say. And then usually the great structure on how to learn language is by doing it with a native speaker. And so you just get to meet people, and it's definitely, I was a communication studies major, so it was like all the humility, because I felt like I knew how to communicate with people. And then you go right after college somewhere and you say like, I am a tree. I had the most embarrassing stories in language. It was yikes, but it was fun. It was good.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll add to that point really quick about the culture. I didn't believe this when the people told me, but it really does help to like just go talk to people, like in the market, like on the street, just talk to people. And if you mess up, you'll probably just make a friend. And because what Brie was saying, you just sort of get to learn about the culture. The people I was with are very like hospitable, and their whole lives revolve around like meeting people and like going to other people's houses. And the way that you say goodbye is literally like, oh, come to my house tomorrow, or like, oh, you should come over sometime. And that's like, they don't just say bye, they just like say, hey, come over. And it's just like so indicative of what the culture is. And so I would just agree that like getting into the culture is getting into the language.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks. Cool. So just a reminder, Emily and Katie have put some encouragements here in the chat bar, but if you have any questions that we have not answered yet, feel free to throw those into the chat and we will get to them if we can. So switching gears a little bit, Laura, I have a question for you, because I know that you were in grad school now. You got your undergrad and then you did GoCorps, and now you're in grad school. Why did you decide to do GoCorps first? And what did you feel like kind of were the benefits of doing GoCorps right after undergrad versus waiting and doing it after grad school?
I think just whenever somebody asks me why, I think sometimes I still try to wrap my head around why, because I don't think there was like a very clear, I don't know, I don't think it was like very clear logistically in my head for like why I was doing it. But I know that my last year of college, I felt like God was calling me into missions, which was really weird to me, because I was like, nobody in my family is a missionary, nor has done anything with missions other than like mission trips. And it just felt like really like an impulsive thought. And I was like, oh, maybe this is just like senioritis and feeling the pressure of having to figure out what I'm doing with my life. And so this is just another option floating around there. And I kind of treated it as that. But then months passed after the idea of doing missions and serving people. A few months passed after I first thought about that, and I felt like God was still putting it on my heart, so I started praying about it, and that's when I really felt like it was just kind of like one of those moments like God like kind of like threw a brick at me and was like I'm calling you to go. And what really I guess spoke to me was one of the sermons at my church. One morning was in Genesis 12 when God tells Abram, he's like, go, leave your father's land, and just go. And I was like, man, like Abraham was 75 at the time. He didn't have all of these things that would have equipped him the same way that we do in the 21st century, to go. And that's, it just seems kind of disjointed from what I was pursuing in undergrad and what I'm pursuing now in grad school. But now I can look back and I can say like everything's so interconnected, and God has really used that experience and used every experience or every moment along the way to kind of equip me to what he's calling me to now.
Yeah, awesome, thanks. I think that kind of leads me into a question that I had kind of wanted to ask to everybody. How did you use or not so much use your major in your placement? And how did that then prepare you for what you did after GoCorps? So that was kind of two questions. How did you use or not use your major on the field? And then how did that prepare you for what you have decided to do after?
Yeah, I'll go. That's a good question. So in university, I studied as a fine artist. And while I was there, worked for the university as a graphic designer. So I kind of got credits with graphic design and fine art. So as soon as I went to England, I worked as a graphic designer with my organization, but also did fine art with the women I was working with as the art therapy kind of side of it. So it was awesome that I could use both those things while I was serving in England. But then now being back, I'm still working in graphic design with my organization until I get a work permit to work here in Canada. But once I do that, I'm going to be working as a graphic designer as well. So I love that GoCorps like had that option to be using your major, because I don't feel like I missed out on my career at all while I was in England, which is great.
Awesome, thanks. Somebody else?
I can say something to this, I guess. I studied math in my undergrad, and I was like, how am I going to use that? And so I basically just decided I was going to teach, just using that skill set, because I was like, that's the teaching track, you know, obviously I can use math there. And I had never wanted to be a teacher in my life. I said all my life, I'm never going to teach. And then I went to Mexico and I taught, and I loved it. And I think it's just like solidified just the gifts that God has given me, and just the way that I can relate to people. And so it wasn't what I had planned on doing ever, but God just like surprised me day after day through what I was doing. Yeah.
Cool, thanks. Bree, what about you? Because you were a communications major and then you worked with pregnant refugees. What was that transition?
Yeah, so I loved my communication studies major, but I had a growing passion for pregnant women that came in college, and so I wanted to use that, and that's what I'm hoping to do later on in my career. So there's that plug. But when I was there was a lot of short-term teams that came through to partner with us, and it was really cool because there were just a lot of young people processing if they want to go to the field. And that is like my happy spot. I just get so excited talking to people about that. And so I was like, yeah, I probably should do something with mobilization for a bit. So that's how I got connected with GoCorps. Easy, you know, they knew me, so it was easy.
Cool, thanks, Bree. Matthew, so we got a question specifically about engineering. So I would love, since you're an engineer, I would love if you could speak a little bit to what it was like to use engineering on the field, and then what your transition was like coming back. Were you prepared to get a more typical marketplace kind of job with engineering?
Yeah, I can speak to that. I'm assuming this is a current college student who's asking this question?
Yes.
Okay. The first thing I would say is, like, everything that you learn in college, like, sort of applies, but it doesn't really apply in the field, because if you're going to a college in America, and this is something that I didn't realize until I was on the field, but if you are going to an American college in like a nice city with first world amenities, you're gonna, you know, I was taught of like, oh, we have like infrastructure and all of these, you know, softwares and systems and different things, and we can just like go to a factory and make stuff. But then you go up into like a village in the middle of a mountain in the middle of a third world country, and you don't have any of that. You can't, there's no software, there's no factories that you can go make things, there's no like contractors that you can hire out. You're just doing it all yourself. And so what I wasn't prepared for was just like, it was a lot of just like, we're going to try this, and if it doesn't work, we'll do it better next time, because we didn't have the resources to do anything else. And so what was really important was the sort of like instinct, like the, I don't know, like sixth sense, or like the like unconscious knowledge that you've sort of absorbed over the 4 years of going through university. And not that like, oh, I need to like memorize all the equations and like make sure that know what this calculus derivation is and stuff, but it's like the core concepts have to be applied in such a different way. I mean, at least where I was, I don't know, if you're going to France, you can probably do the same thing. But in my situation, it was so different. Like I literally, a lot of my work was just putting into Excel things that would be understandable to our local workers. So like I could understand like, oh, this pipe needs to be this long and this wide and go around this curve and this is why. But I need to tell that to someone who has no higher education in a language that I just learned. And the only way I can do that is like by radically shifting how I apply this knowledge of engineering. And so, yeah, so it like your training does apply because the things that you learned are going to be useful, but like how you have been taught to apply them is so drastically different than how it will be in the field. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's great. What about when you got back? Were you prepared to go back into kind of an American context in engineering?
You know, I didn't think that I would be, because again, like the application of what we're doing is so different than what I did in the field. But I feel like it sort of almost helped me, like being able to do the like ground level, bare bones type of work sort of, I think, helped build up the, I don't know, like the engineering instinct or whatever, or the, like, I did it at the ground level. And so now coming into a place with all of these systems and all of these softwares that can just do things for me, it's really helped me like have a better understanding, I feel like, of what's going on and like what is happening behind the scenes of, you know, all of the automation and the systems that we have set up in America. And so I really do think it helped me doing like doing everything from scratch and then going to a place where I don't have to do that has given me a lot more appreciation and understanding of how everything works.
Awesome. Thanks, Matthew. Cool. So I want to now kind of open it up to everybody. Feel free to unmute yourself. And what are any questions that you might have that we haven't touched on or that you'd like to hear kind of more about? Does anybody have anything they'd like to ask?
I know y'all have probably been asked this before, but what are some things that you wish you knew before you went?
Good question.
I feel like I'm talking a lot. I'll answer.
We love that. We love it.
Thank you. I feel like people say this, but like they don't say it enough. Like it's hard to go to another country. Like it really is. And training can prepare you to a certain extent, and like going through GoCorps and going through your organization's training, but like everyone that I know who has gone onto the field has had a breakdown at some point. Everyone has cried and everyone has questioned their choice to go there. And that's a normal thing. That is not you are failing or you aren't good enough or you are somehow not fit for this. That is you adjusting to another culture in another language with people that you just met. And that's a normal thing. So when you go overseas, it will be hard and you will cry, and that's okay. That just means that you are adapting in a healthy way.
That's a great answer, Matthew. Man, preach. That's great. Anybody else want to add to that, or does anybody else have any questions that they would like to ask?
I wanted to ask, what is something that you expected to be hard and was surprisingly easy? And then the reverse, expected to be easy and was surprisingly hard?
I think, yeah, I think for me, I expected the language learning to be hard, and then it ended up being easy. Not because it's not because Spanish is like a difficult language, but I was like, you just like, I saw like my GoCorps leaders from my cohort in 2018, and I was like, wow, they like fluently speak the languages that they learned when they were overseas. And I was like, there's no way I'll ever be fluent in the language that I'll learn. Like, there's no way. And I think I was just surprised. Like, I had Spanish classes prior to going to Mexico, but just, yeah, I think I underestimated how much like immersing in the culture and just being with the people was actually gonna like strengthen my fluency in the language, and actually kind of make me forget some English. Which I think that most people who have learned another language can relate to that. And I think I expected maybe to relate to people more easily than it actually was. I think I just underestimated how different Mexican culture was to the culture I had grown up in, or to American culture. Yeah, I think I was like, I'm adaptable, I'm flexible, like this will be easy. And I mean, like, there was some culture shock there, and God taught me patience through that, and it ended up being really good, but it was hard at first.
Thanks, Laura. I can definitely relate with forgetting some English once I started learning German. So yeah, you are not alone in that. What about Bree or Heidi? Did you guys want to add anything to that question? No.
Heidi, we can hear you. You're muted.
Sorry. I think something for me that I expected to be harder that ended up being easier was the culture shock in England, because my organization, a different training that I'd had with them, they had warned us over and over again, like, if you're going to a culture that's pretty similar to yours, it might become harder than a culture that is vastly different, just because you're not expecting all the differences that come. But my mom is actually English, and I found that adjusting to England was pretty easy for me, because I guess I'm more English than I realized. But what was more difficult for me was adjusting to the Muslim culture and working with the Muslim ladies. And they're very well known for being a very opening culture, like come into their home whenever you want. They'll cook for you, they'll clean for you, and things like that. And so I thought, okay, this is going to be an easy in, but that actually ended up being a lot more difficult for me, which became discouraging. So kind of also want to encourage you guys preparing to go to the field. Like, that's also, like Matthew was saying before, like, it's normal to be difficult. And like, eventually after being there for a while, learning about the different cultures and stuff, and learning how to like get in with whoever you're working with. But yeah, that at first was really difficult for me.
Thanks, Heidi.
I think that, can I answer?
Yeah.
I think that's something that I thought was going to be really hard that wasn't that hard, was going away from my friends. I was super nervous, and I felt like all my friends are going to hang out all together, and then I'm going to be in wherever I was. But you're all transitioning out of college together, so there's kind of a normalcy in that, I guess, in a way. And then I think the thing that was difficult that I wasn't expecting, I was expecting culture shock, but I feel like the strongest culture shock that I had when I went to the country was with myself, because a lot of the ways that I rested, and a lot of the ways that I, like, some things that I found life-giving just weren't life-giving on the field. And there were a lot of things that, like, a lot of people experience this on the field from what I've seen, but my social energy went down, like, depleted a ton. So the things that I found life-giving in the States, which, like, hanging out with friends and doing tons of fun stuff, like, just was not the same. And so I just felt like I was exhausted all the time in the beginning, and language learning, like, was really exhausting. And so I felt like I kind of had to learn a new me in a way, and I'm someone who, like, prides myself on being very self-aware, and so that was, like, really hard for me, I guess, in a way. but has grown me to like, now that I'm transitioning back to the States, like I have been finding so much freedom in the unknowns, which is really great. So I think it was a really formative experience for me.
Thanks, Bri. Yeah, does anybody have any other questions? I think we've got time for like maybe one more.
I have a question.
Yes.
What, like, how did you kind of discern, one, like, your call to missions more in general, and then two, like, what missions agency, sending agency you wanted to pursue going on mission with?
Yeah, good question. Anybody want to take that?
There are literally a million different options. So first of all, yikes, which yay, GoCorps makes it so easy. But I think like, I am someone who was like asking the Lord, like, give me this, like, literally give me a sign that says like, you're gonna do this. And I never felt the Lord like say that to me, but I just was given so many opportunities to be educated on the need of where there's need in the world. And it created such like a fire in me that I was like, I know that I have to use this. And I think like, if there's a fire in you for business and you want to build a business in the States, like the Lord's using that for good, like, you know. And so I just felt like the way that the Lord was burning a fire in me, I've never used that term. I hopefully you're understanding what I'm saying, but burning a fire in me to go. And I really wanted to go to Africa, and not that there's not need there, not that there's not need in the States, you know, but I just felt the Lord saying like unreached people groups. And then once I decided like I was going to do that, there's so many different passions that we all have. Like I like love worship leading. I love kids. So I was like contacting GoCorps and was like, literally send me anywhere. I don't care. But the Lord just really guided me to a specific, I prayed a lot about what should I kind of plant myself in. And the Lord really opened my eyes to the specific passion of pregnant women, and just like really showed me a lot of why he has made me passionate about that. And then I mentioned it to my coach at the time, Katie, with GoCorps, and she just helped me to have like a very streamlined process to like say, okay, this organization, you would be working here and you'd be working with these women in this way. And then this organization, you'd be working this way, you know. So I think that there's tons of different organizations. That's why like GoCorps is awesome. I'm a super big fan of GoCorps because like we partner with 13 different organizations, and we help you to like streamline that process so you don't have to apply. I applied to 12 different organizations. It was the worst thing ever. So, you know, don't have to apply to that. But yes, I'm going all over the place. I hope that answers your question in some way.
Anybody want to add to that? Got just a couple minutes left.
Yeah, I can add quickly. I think that my experience was different than Bri's. My senior year of college, I felt like what Bri was saying, the fire to like go reach the nations. But then I called GoCorps because that was the one recruiting agency that I knew, and I told them, I'm an engineer. I don't want to go to like Jamaica or something to preach the good, or like, you know, like I don't want to go on a vacation. And then they were like, here's a list of engineering places. And then I clicked the first one and I was like, that sounds good. I'll do that. So it was very different than like go to every place, you know, apply to all the places and do all the things. And I think that if you feel like you are called to go somewhere, like how you act and behave in your rest of your life can kind of guide that. Like if you are a person who just, you know, goes with the flow or is fine with whatever, then feel free to not shop around and research and just be like, I will go wherever the Lord takes me. But if you are someone who like, you want to research, you want to plan, and you want to, you know, you want to have a whole organization set out before you even leave, and you want to know exactly the people and exactly the place and exactly what's going on, and you want to choose that, then do that. I think it's like based on who you are as a person. I think God can use that to find the right place for you.
Yeah. Thanks, Matthew.
Yeah.
So yeah, one final question that I'd love each of you guys to answer pretty briefly, just in a couple sentences. What is like the one thing that you would say to a student considering whether the Lord is calling them to global ministry?
I would say practice being a learner in your context, wherever you're at. If you feel like you are connected to someone that you don't really know their culture or something, even if like their family culture or something like that, or trauma they've been through, like just like be a learner in all contexts. Like try to practice being a learner, because you need to go to the field. That's like what I tell everyone. You need to go to the field being a learner, not in this way that you're like, I have all these gifts, this is what I'm going to hand the team. But like just simply saying like, I'm coming and I have nothing and I want to learn, sort of thing.
I guess this would be targeted towards, I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
I guess this would be targeted towards people who are just considering like, or thinking, oh, like I'm not deep enough in my faith, or I need to get to a certain point before I can be, this good missionary. I guess my word of encouragement would be God can use you, and God will use you despite your circumstances, despite your insecurities, and despite your insufficiencies. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say something kind of similar to what Laura just said, but well, kind of how Bree was saying, I guess start off with like going anywhere cross-culturally in any sort of context is an extremely humbling experience. And no matter where you're going, even if it's another English-speaking country or a country where you don't know a single word in the language, like it is very humbling to be able to see how small you are in this big world. But I think like, Laura was saying, like God uses the smallest people for the biggest things. And I found when I was going abroad, very quickly did I start doubting myself of like, I'm not good enough for this. I'm not here for this, but God continually reassuring me of like, I chose you. And so, yeah, like don't doubt yourself.
Yeah, I'll reiterate what Laura said. During our GoCorps cohort, when we met in 17, we were talking about this idea of super Christians, and like the Christians like that you see up on stage, or like the people who are on the advertisements and in the Christian bands, and these people, and how it's so easy to feel like they are on a different level than we are, that is somehow unattainable to us, just the sort of like normal Christians. But we were talking about it, and we were saying that there's no levels. There's no like this person is a better Christian, because that doesn't exist. Like you are either saved by Jesus and have the full power of Christ in you, or you don't. And if you do that, then literally anything is possible. There is nothing that you can't do with Jesus. And so like this idea of like there's this better attainable, like, oh, like the missionaries are the best Christians, or the worship leaders are the best Christians. Like, no, you are the best Christian because you're a Christian. And you have already attained the highest level that you can. And just take confidence in that. You are already the person that God needs you to be.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for coming today. It has been so good to see all of you and to hear from you guys. Special thanks to Matthew, Bree, Laura, and Heidi. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. So we have a bunch of other GoCorps virtual events that are happening throughout the semester. We have a coffee and conversation about calling. So that might be a good one if you're really just like, how do I know? What does it mean to be called? What is that? As Bree said, we've got one on support raising. And then kind of towards the end of the semester, we have a placement expo. So if you're like, there are so many options, what do I choose? We're gonna have kind of a whole event focused on just talking about our different placements. But yeah, if you have any other specific questions, or there was like something very specific that you wanted to ask and you didn't get a chance, feel free to reach out to GoCorps. You can fill out our inquiry form, or you can send me an email. It's melody@gocorps.org. I'm gonna throw that in the chat so you have it. melody@gocorps.org. There we go. I forgot the dot, it's close enough. But yeah, so if you have anything else, feel free to reach out to us. But thank you so much for joining us, and that's all. Bye, guys.